So, Brittany, when is the podcast gonna be live? Because the people are ready.
What's goody? Welcome to the 4th episode of the Triple T Podcast, starring none other than your hostess with the mostest that holds everybody accountable, Miss Teflon. How are y'all doing? I am still going through responses about episode 3, and surprisingly, I am happy to tap in and say that a lot of women actually agreed with the male callers that tapped in. Yes, you heard it right. If you have not caught up with episode 3, you might want to pause this and then go listen to that and then come back right here. We'll still be right here. I promise I'll still be right here, okay? But you need to make sure that you listen to episode 3 because, listen, we definitely had a lot of perspectives, and even I, as a woman, agreed with the 2 male callers that did call in, and shout out to them. So, if you, like most people, were not able to call in, you forgot or you didn't know how, make sure that you are following the page's Instagram at theetripletpodcast. All right, stop and do that now. That way you do not miss the next opportunity for you to call in and tap in on the show. All right, ladies, how y'all feeling? And then, occasionally I got to check in with my dogs. Fellas, how you feeling? All right, just a little something. Okay, before we go into this episode, and I know you are wondering, the matrimony, is this woman engaged and this is how she is going to tell the world? No, that ain't my style. I wouldn't do it like that anyway. But it's not about the fact if I am engaged or to be married. But before I go more into what I'm talking about with that, I want to give you a little bit of background about this episode. So, fun fact about me, if you are just getting hip to me or just getting to know me within the last, few years, you might remember that back in college, I had a blog called Tea, Bree, and Breathe. All right. So I started this blog, I want to say probably around my sophomore year or junior year in college. And it really just chronicled true, 100% true experiences, mostly in dating, that has happened to me. Now, of course, the people that were involved, of course, I give them creative names. But actually, one person did figure out that it was him in one particular story, but whatever. Ain't nobody gonna get no free fame off of me. So we are actually going to tap into one of those stories, and you will see why I call this story the matrimony. So ladies, I don't know if you got you a glass of bubbly yet. My infamous $1.25 tree cup. This week I am sipping on some Malibu, and it is straight, has no ice, but it's chilled. I actually prefer my shots without ice. And certain drinks I can do ice with, but with this, I'm taking it straight. I don't know about you. Get your wine, your champagne, your Hennessy white, or water. New year, new you, right? Okay. And get this, because if you're feeling like this right now, I hope that by the end of this episode, you still feel the same way. And if you don't, make sure that you keep drinking. It's about time. I'm going to tell these fellas a little bit about themselves. Now, I know the first couple of episodes, we were really talking about women. The time is here. The time is now. All right. I'm finna tell you how some of these men just ain't no good. And listen, this is my podcast, but I am not going to use my podcast as a platform to say niggas ain't shit. I'm going to stop it because that used to be me. That was me a majority of my life, okay? So I know this is my podcast and I can speak freely, but I choose not to say that. However, I will say it is a lot of men who ain't, but I won't say as a collective that they all are. All right? Now, I know some ladies are at home like, girl, forget that. They all ain't shit. All right? I hope soon that you will also break out of that too, especially if you are a single woman. Okay? And we'll talk a little bit about that. So, the matrimony, let's start. So, before we begin with this blog, Tea, Bree, and Breathe, it's actually still up. So if you are interested in actually going to my blog, that same blog, and reading some of the experiences that I experienced back in college, you can definitely do that. If you are following the page on Instagram, just click the Linktree link that's in the bio and you will see Tea, Bree, and Breathe blog. For those that are listening, the website is tea, like sipping tea, TEA. Should be across the screen too. TEA, Bree, BREE, and AND, Breathe. You know, breathe, BREATHE, okay, .wordpress.com. Tea, Bree, and Breathe .wordpress.com. If you definitely want to tap in and see what your girl has been through. Also, I like to pride myself. I am a Jane of all trades. I actually am a writer. Fun fact, I do have a manuscript for a children's book that I wrote when I was a child. Rest in peace to my auntie Laverne, but she was also a writer and she got that manuscript made for me. So one day I am going to publish that. So writing is just a little bit else of what your girl can do. All right. So I am reading this verbatim as I wrote it back then on the blog when things was on and popping. All right, here we go. And we title this The Matrimony. Whew. Before I even begin, let me just, man, Malibu in a long time. It's sweet, super sweet. Here we go, The Matrimony. Do I have any rice at the house? I know I have some pork and beans. I spoke to myself softly as I grocery shopped in the neighborhood Walmart across the street from my apartment complex, which is true. I lived in Oviedo once I had got my apartment complex. If you don't know, I went to UCF. Shout out to UCF. It was my usual routine to make a list of groceries I needed, but I will always forget one or two things to add onto the list. As I was entering the canned goods aisle, I couldn't help but feel my back being pierced by gazing eyes. And not to my surprise, they weren't gazing at me every time I turned around. You know that peekaboo type of shit that you do. I shrugged, and I figured I would solve the puzzle to see who this exactly was that was peering deeply at me or into me. I knew I wanted to cook some pork chops that week. And by the way, I don't even eat pork anymore. I gave up beef and pork. It's going on 6 years. So I only eat chicken, turkey, seafood. Fun fact. Anyway, but at this time, pork chops was my thing, especially on that George Foreman grill. Stop playing. I knew I wanted to cook some pork chops that week, so I made my way to the meat aisle to find a nice and inexpensive pack. Come on, Malibu. And there he was. Somewhat slim, but somewhat built. Nice chocolate complexion, straight white teeth, a growing beard, and a shiny bald head. He was eye candy for me. I was merely dressed in a UCF t-shirt, leggings, and some sandals, hair done, and minimal makeup. But the way this young man seemed to dig me, I could have had anything on, or maybe nothing on. So that's how hard this man is looking at me. So let me tap in. Like, what you see that I don't see? Like, I know I'm that. But you trying to tell me I'm that? Because if you trying to tell me I'm that, I want you to say that. Don't just stare. Like, after a while, that shit get kind of boring and kind of creepy. So somebody has to say something at this point. Now, I'm not going to lie. Back in my college days, I would say that I was aggressive. If there was something or someone, that I, wanted to talk to, explore, whatever, I did not have any shame of approaching a guy first, especially in college. And I never knew that about myself until I went to college, but that's a different story. We'll address this man as Q. All right, so remember, I told you I give these little creative nicknames to everybody, so we are going to acknowledge this person as Q in this story. If you know me personally, then chances are you personally already know this story. For my newbies, read on. So at this time, I'm pretty sure because I was so devastated, and you'll see why at the end of this story. I know I had told a lot of my girlfriends and even my homeboys, like, what is wrong with your species? You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Q was a 28-year-old man from Columbia, South Carolina, and had a little accent when he spoke. He wasn't the first older man I had encountered, but I must say he was the most interesting. He served in the military for 6 years and had a not so surprising 6-year-old son. Cute kid from what I seen in the pictures. It was now December, and it was almost 2 months that Q and I were dating exclusively. Exclusively. Things seemed to be going well. Our first date was at City Walk. Now, City Walk was a shit if you was in Orlando. Let me tell you something. You go to the Bob Marley Club, if you was 21 at that time. You might go to Chef Irma's restaurant, whatever. City Walk was just that place in my college days. So I like City Walk. Followed by a second date at Bubba Gump's. And Bubba Gump's is cool. I think what I liked about Bubba Gump's is the fact that you can literally flip the sign that says run, Forrest, run, or stop, So that's kind of cool. Anyway, and then transition into a home dinner date. Now, the reason why I'm going to give myself and hold myself accountable for that, because if you remember in episode 1, when we talked about did she miss the signs of dating, remember her second date was also a home dinner date. Now, in this particular story, it was the third date. All right. Would I do that now? Probably not. More so because we're in a society where I don't think I want to come to your house on the third date. I still don't know you yet. All right. So I definitely have to hold myself accountable to that. To what younger Brittany decided to do. All right. So at the home dinner date, as a collective, we prepared chicken, pasta, and garlic bread. Basic, but hey, average to some, fantastic to a 21-year-old. So I was 21 when I wrote this. I'm 28, y'all. So y'all do the math. All right. Many of you are probably thinking that I didn't have any business dating a 28-year-old. So I'm 28. Can I imagine myself dating a 21-year-old man? And I feel like as women, I don't care, all women, you kind of go through that stage where you think, or you get to that conclusion where you think that older men is just a shit. Like, ooh, I got me an older man. It's going to be less drama. He going to take me out. He going to spend money on me. It's going to be all about me. He going to spoil me. Girl, they are just as trifling as the men in your group. And back then, as a 21-year-old woman out here trying to conquer life, I just came to the conclusion real early that all of y'all are like this, no matter the age. So, again, I was 21. Well, did I have business dating a 28-year-old? I didn't, especially not this one. You call it no business. This is what I wrote. I call it living experience. Child, who I thought I was. Him being 7 years my senior at the time didn't really have me tripped up. He was a good friend, good company, and someone I began to trust. As hard as that is already to do. Oh. I was already exposed to the baby mama type of guy long ago. Let's not forget, I said that in the beginning. So not only am I dating somebody 7 years my senior, he in the military, and you got a 6-year-old son. Is it tallying up for you over there? Because it's not tallying up for me over here. Thank God for growth. So dating someone with a child wasn't actually surprising to me. And at that time, it really wasn't. This wasn't my first rodeo. All right. I didn't prefer it, but after a while, I started not to completely rule it out, which is true. I was like, all right, if I'm going to try this dating thing, I just have to accept, especially if it's going to be older men. And I think that this rule is still a cardinal rule in dating today, ladies. If you do decide to date any man older than you, you just have to expect that there is a high probability that he got churn. And you can't be mad at that. Is everybody supposed to have children in late age? No. All right. So at this point in time in my life, 21, I think I know everything. I thought that was an okay standard for me. Thank God for growth. I didn't have to ask Q to text me, like that's a flex. I didn't have to ask him to call me, come see me. In parentheses, I put, well, in this case, come see him. I don't like guys in my home or my sanctuary, which is very, 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 very true. Okay. I'm very selective. At that time, especially, I had my apartment. I was doing my thing. This wasn't no area where any dude that, whether we was homies or not, y'all just come and crash at my crib. Like, I love you, but it's my shit. Like, I value my personal space in my home, So even at that time, I didn't let guys, even when I was dating in college, I didn't let guys up in my apartment. So it's like, where you at? I'm going to come over there. All right. And I didn't have to tell Q to step his game up. His game was well up, well equipped, and for the most part, he could handle me. I appreciated his talks filled with wisdom, but he still spoke to me as an equal. His hugs were warm and meaningful, and his forehead kisses made me melt. And even though I didn't see things exactly as long-term with Q, nevertheless, we still clicked, we kicked it, and shit was actually sweet. It was, until it wasn't. We would get into debates every now and then when his communication skills began to slip up, but it was nothing for him to correct his mistakes, which I began to admire after a while. Bitch, you want a cookie? Though it still was an issue, I rolled with the punches. I had to remember that, quite frankly, he still wasn't my man yet. But I needed him to act right if he was picked to be. So you're thinking to yourself now, I hope, why was that not a red flag for me? 21, I think I know it all, right? Life taught me real quick, all right? Before we left for our Christmas breaks, he was traveling to South Carolina and I was going back home to Miami. We spent the whole night together, though I did not sleep over. I returned to my apartment around 3 a.m. with a smile plastered on my face because for once I felt comfortable. I have a really huge personality, which is true if you know me personally, and probably by episode 4 you can see that I am just a big walking ball of energy. I have a big personality. But layers of it can be sensual and sensitive, and I didn't have to hide anything. Oh. I knew to never be comfortable with anything, too comfortable with anything, but for the time being, I could finally exhale. So you could tell at this point in my life, I'm out here trying to conquer and navigate the world. As Mr. Tony would say, shout out to Mr. Tony, Chef's dad. I'm out here trying to navigate the world, and I just feel like I've watched Waiting to Exhale once, and I just know what every character went through, and I just knew that I wanted to. But little did I know, man, with this motherfucker right here, I was inhaling poison. Lies, deceit, but you will see why. It was now Christmas Eve, and it had been 5 days since we had spoken. And I know, because I kind of want to square up with my 21-year-old self as I read this, but at this point, why is that also not a red flag? That's called trouble in my world. Of course, my mind went through all the excuses. Well, he is up there with family. Plus, he is probably spending time with his son. Don't trip, Brett. Those same thoughts turned into 38 hot thoughts. So this Negro's phone is broke now? You ain't with family that much, my G. I know I done crossed your mind at least 20 times by now. I ain't fucking with this shit. It's Christmas. 'Tis the season to be jolly. I didn't even receive a Merry Christmas text. Oh, ladies, I know. You just want to, yeah, I know. How valuable is it if you is messing with a dude and he don't take the time to text you Merry Christmas? How big is that in our world, ladies? It's big. Don't be ashamed to say it, especially if that's your man. Because you should be with your man for Christmas, but let's say you ain't. That man don't say Merry Christmas. You tell me if I'm tripping. Anyway, but when I did get a text, it was at 10:30 p.m., You know why? Probably when family festivities have wrapped up, right? He added on, my bad, my phone was in the car. So the text read at 10:30 p.m. on Christmas night, Merry Christmas, my bad, my phone was in the car. Any man that's out here being faithful to his woman, you tell me why he leaving his phone in the car on purpose. Let me tap in with my Malibu. We ain't even get to the good part, y'all. My intuition spoke to me at first when these issues kept arising when we were both in Orlando. I, however, put them on the back burner. I didn't want to turn back into bitter Brit or let the beast unleash, because I will admit, in a point in my life, especially in college, it got to a point where I did get bitter about just constantly picking the wrong dudes, giving the wrong men my time. And I had got to a point where I couldn't blame him. I'm not going to blame him or him or him or him. I got to start blaming me. I had to start taking accountability that, well, damn, bitch, who else is doing the picking? You are. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? That's who you are responsible for. All right? So, when you talk to someone and kick it with someone every day, 5 days seems like a light year away. Yeah, if you actually like the person. Things weren't settling with me, and my intuition once told me again, you about to be a dollar bill for real. What I mean by that? Dollar bill. One. Single. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Goddamn. But you know what? In a weird way, and I know I'm not the only person that has done this, that has been hurt several times, you get to a point where it's like, I knew I was right. Ain't that crazy? Like, it was a relief that I was right, that he wasn't shit. How fucked up is that? We have to stop that way of thinking. I'm not afraid to say it. I had that mentality a lot as a young woman out here trying to navigate. And it did me no good. It really didn't. It was now December 26th, the day after Christmas, and my mom and I were headed to Aventura Mall to catch some great sales. I told my mama about Q and about the communication issues I was having with him. Me being the dramatic person that I am, I was going to cut it off and let the shit go. Now, me being 28, ain't nothing dramatic about that. I should have did that a long time ago. Mama told me to do whatever I felt was best, but not to put anyone on a pedestal. She only saw us as friends anyway. You know, old school mamas, that ain't your boyfriend, that's your friend. That's your friend. I never had a boyfriend. Now she know I got a boyfriend. But before, you know, them other, I mean, technically they really wasn't no boyfriends. I got a real man now. But anyway. As soon as our conversation about men got deeper, my phone rang. At first, I didn't recognize the number, but I knew it was someone from South Carolina because of the 803 area code. Can you see where this is headed? Nope. First instinct. Okay, it got to be Q. It got to be this mofo, right? I paused the conversation with my mom to pick up the phone. Hello? I could hear noise in the background, but no one was speaking to me. Hello? I said once again. You know what? I told myself I wasn't going to call you. A voice dark and low responded. It was the voice of a very distraught woman. Get your glass, ladies. Buckle up, everybody. Well, whom do I have the pleasure of speaking with? I replied. I told myself I needed to call you. But my sister said I shouldn't have called you. But I called you anyway. The voice sounded eerie. Puzzled, I replied, once again, who am I speaking with? This was too spooky for me to just hang up right then and there, because I know you probably thinking, click. Nah, at this point, it seemed personal. She then began to grow angry. Look, I just need to know if you sleeping with my man. I scoffed in surprise. Girl, who is your man? And who the hell are you? Her tone was all effed up. I started to yell, forgetting my mama was driving and sitting right next to me. She tapped me on the shoulder and tried to mouth out something to me, but I was too focused on this woman who was on this call. My name is Andrea. Look, bitch, are you with my man? Y'all, I'm 21. I'm 21. Just a recap. I'm 21. Messing with a 28-year-old man, 6-year-old son, in the military, can't communicate. Text me 10:30 p.m. on Christmas talking about his phone was in the car. Been having these issues. You would think I would see this coming, right? As bad as I wanted to curse her right back at this point in time at 21, and that might seem a little weird for most people, but I didn't really curse in front of my parents. I think probably within the last year or so, sometimes, it might, slip out. If I'm really mad, you might catch it, but I try not to curse in front of my parents. I'm a unicorn, whatever. But at this point, I had never cursed in front of my mama. I clenched my jaws and then again asked who this mystery man of hers could be. Because if you calling me, then maybe that's not your man, baby. I know, typical response, trying to get shit started. Q, she exclaimed over the phone. Yeah, you know who that is, right? I sneered. Oh, that's you? I couldn't help but chuckle, so I'm laughing in this lady's face. My name is Andrea. Insert her last name here. And I need to know if you have been fucking my husband. I know the fellas are like, My mouth instantly dropped. It had been the first time that another woman had called my phone, but honey, I was not ready for it to be somebody's wife. This Malibu about halfway gone. I don't know about y'all at home. Your husband, I asked, eyebrows raised. Yup, husband. We've been married for 6 years. This should not be a surprise to me, y'all. Fellas, I know you like checkmate, right? Nah. 6 years. The little boy is 6. Bingo, bitch. Well, Andrea, your husband surely does not act like a married man. I'm just making the shit worse. Look, she sighed, I did not mean to come off the way I did, but I need to have a woman-to-woman talk with you and ask you some questions. I did not know that I was going to play Barbara and Shirley the first 21 years of my life. I don't think anybody anticipates it. But damn. Ask away, I replied quickly. Where did you meet my husband? She started off boldly. The grocery store, I said nonchalantly. And are y'all dating? Together? What? She began to grow agitated. We were dating until you called me. Are you fucking him? I haven't happened to be sipping on my Coca-Cola, and clearly I wasn't expecting her to ask that question at that moment. I almost spat it out on the floor on the car when she asked me again, "Are you fucking my husband?" She asked again with great emphasis. "Nope, little mama. That's all you," I replied coolly. My responses were pissing her off, but honestly, it was the truth. "So I got your number from his Mac laptop." If anybody has Apple products, you already know where this story is going. When you have all that shit synced up, you best move forward with your best foot now. All right. All that shit syncs. I hope you knew that. She snickered. "I see you all have been texting each other frequently." Her tone was very sarcastic. "Clearly," I spat. "And I see these little selfies y'all took and shit. One of them was on someone's couch. Was it at his place or your place?" "His place. He's not welcome at mine." "Yeah, the same place I pay rent at." Military, 6 years. Your wife is paying your rent? Your wife is paying your rent while you in Orlando. Doing what? Going to school. Okay. I stared at the phone in disbelief. Your husband is Orlando while he has you and his son in South Carolina going through God knows what, and you paying his rent? Girl, what? What the hell are you doing in South Carolina then? Q moved to Orlando to provide for his family. He wanted to go back to school down there, so we are making it work. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. I guess I just would have had to been moving to Orlando, or whatever school you at, you would have had to find that in South Carolina, because that ain't finna happen. That's just not finna happen. All right. Girl, you sure? Because he's acting like he wants a whole nother family down here. Just making it worse. I knew that statement would probably enrage her, but I had no reason to lie to this woman. She wanted answers. She looked for answers, and therefore she can have these answers. You just don't understand. It's hard having a marriage when you constantly have to call women about your man. So you've been playing Inspector Gadget for 6 years? You crazy. Then there was a silence on the phone. When you have kids, it's difficult, she spoke softly. And that's not an excuse when you have thousands of single mothers who are out here doing the damn thing. Try again, I told her coldly. Her voice then began to break while she started to sniffle. The lady was now crying. I can't take this shit. I do not deserve this. I am pregnant with his daughter right now. Y'all, I did this shit to myself. I seriously thought all of this was a joke. Me, a 21-year-old, dealing with some holy matrimony shit like this. And then you let this man bust a nut in you with his cheating ass, and now you're pregnant. Excuse my rawness, but I need you all to see this and vividly paint a picture of it. And get this, Andrea was 32 years old. Q is 28 and I am 21. Sis, what you doing? Andrea. I tried my best to console her while being truly sincere. But she asked for this woman-to-woman talk, so I had to deliver. You need to gather what's left of your self-worth, get your kid, and get out of this bullcrap marriage you're suffering yourself in. And don't tell me nothing about them sappy vows, because obviously they don't mean squat, and they never probably did in the 6 years that you was with him. Are you not better than this? Verbatim, this is what I told this woman. I tried my best to step in her shoes and understand her and her illogic. The fact of the matter is, I didn't have sympathy at all. Not for a weak woman who will let this man run up and down state borders to disrespect her and their marriage, and for her ass to stay right with him. Now, I can tell that I was angry when I wrote this. I can say now, as a grown woman at 28, I probably would have had sympathy for her. Maybe not sympathy, more empathy. But to a certain extent, because at this point, I am condoning your stupidity. Because you said that this is a this is a career for you. You like calling women, checking them about the same motherfucker that you married to. So to a certain extent, because you are pregnant, no pregnant woman, no woman should be going through this, but especially a pregnant woman. Those months, I'm sure, are the most vulnerable, intimate months that you will experience as a woman. Okay? So at that level, I do have empathy, but you have to have more self-worth in yourself to wake up and see. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same shit over and over again and expecting a different result. She was expecting a different result. She got a 6-year-old son out of it. Now she's pregnant again. How many more kids is it going to take for you to realize he just ain't the one? He may be good at making kids, clearly. At this point, is he good for your kids? She continued to sob in my ear as my mama was whispering, "What's going on?" I told her to hold on as I was beginning to wrap this conversation up. "Well, I thank you for this conversation," she responded when she finally got herself together. "I hope that you realize what is true, blue, and right in front of you. If I wasn't the first woman you had to call, I won't be the last. Take care of your mind, your spirit, soul, body, and your unborn. Carry and grab back your crown, girl." "Thank you," she replied and hung up the phone. Barbara and Shirley for sure. I spent the rest of that day pondering, how the fuck didn't I know this man was married? I couldn't help but be mad at myself because I thought I ignored clues, when truth is, he didn't leave any out for me to question. He was that damn good, was he? Again, at this point, I still have to hold myself accountable. He gave me those red flags. I should have been out. But here I was. But I couldn't help but kiss my index and middle finger and shooting it up to the sky at God, thanking him that I dodged another bullshit bullet. I'm built like Teflon. But it did hurt at first. It knocked me out my element. It still seemed to prove that some Negroes ain't worth shit. But I know better to know that one of them, one day, will be. I know you all wish that you could have been a fly on the wall when I delivered the news to Q-Child. Let's just say it was a remarkable experience. It seriously goes down in the books. He pleaded that it was nothing and that they were separated and she didn't give him what he needed. Oh! That the marriage went downhill when he came back from overseas and she pawned the $2,000 engagement ring he bought her, let alone not sleeping with him and not being such a wife to him. Sis could have went a little harder with it though. Whatever side was truth or lie, it did not matter to me. The damage was done, and as soon as Andrea called me. What's done in the dark always comes to the light. Y'all know that. And for that, I am thankful. What made matters worse, I found out that this woman was my sorority sister. Now, sorority sister, if you guys don't know, I am a part of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We just celebrated 109 years of sisterhood, scholarship, and service. Now, she was not my direct line sister, meaning that we did not pledge together. However, I do acknowledge her as a sister and soror in Delta. So the fact that I had to talk to this woman, period, about this, in the first instance, but it hit different that this is also a woman that is supposed to be like-minded like me in this organization, and that kind of hurt. That hurt that I had to have a conversation like that with a woman, period, but especially somebody in my sorority. Go figure. Most young ladies might have always wondered or continue to wonder how it is to date an older man. Many dream about them actually having his stuff together, nice job, his own place, real established. I can say that there might be plenty of 28-year-olds who may have it all together. Here I am, 28. I don't have it all together, and that's okay. But don't think that just because he's older that he will actually act that way. I made sense with that, right? I think that still holds weight. In my case, I had a 28-year-old full of shit like a 1-year-old's pamper. And if you go the older route, ladies, don't be fooled. There could be a 28-year-old out there who will do you just right. Age means nothing in this day and age. I will edit that and say that in terms of dating someone, in terms of their mental capacity and stability. All right? Ladies who are like me, don't get completely knocked off your feet when tragedies as these occur. I believe that women can love past their hurt. Hey, that's the woman. Scorned, bitter, me. I have love past that hurt, and I'm here to let the ladies and fellas know that there is love past your hurt, all right? So I might have been 21 thinking I was hurt. Hurt definitely came after that, but I will agree with that statement there that I had something going at 21 with that one, all right? I am one of them too. No one is exempt. No matter how low a man may try to kick me somehow, some way, I still believe that I can love. Ladies like Andrea, stop wearing these flimsy thongs that you sport around and put on your big girl drawers. No man is ever worth your self-worth and respect. And once you allow him to defy you of that, he will never, ever, ever treat you the same. You think it makes you stronger by staying with him. You are allowing him to continually disrespect you every time. You ain't nothing but a joke. Get real. A man will only do what you allow him to do. Now, I have never been married. I'm still not married. Never been close to it. I'm a little closer now. Hey, but I can personally say for myself that I will never be in a marriage like Andrea, and that still holds weight. I could never, boo. Shit. Oh, okay. How could you allow this man to disrespect you as a woman, disrespect the love you are providing to him, disrespect the union you have, and you continue to let him right back in? So that's what I was talking about earlier. To a certain extent, I have empathy for you, Andrea. But after that, I can't. You're not even responsible and accountable enough to understand what kind of situation that you're in. I can't continue to support that. All right. Why would you bring a child into this? You're letting him even disrespect you in between your legs. What good has he done for you to bless him with yet another human being called as his own? Look at what she is doing to her son. He can once learn that the things his father does is okay. People do not think about the detriments of their actions when they have kids. And that's a whole nother episode series in itself. But I am here to tell you that shit matters. And it will shape you into who you are. And sometimes you don't even realize it until you try to be with someone else. And what about the unborn daughter? What type of example are you showing for her? How to be a weak woman? How to let a man break you? Showing her that no matter what he does, it's all right because a real woman in a marriage is gonna stay? Y'all, I'm telling you, that shit matters. And for men like you, raising little boys and little girls without peering at how fucked up you are first, wouldn't you think to clean up your act? Be the best example of a man to your child or your children. Period. It's men like this who ruin it for little girls and little boys, which make them morph their mindset of what love is. And I'm telling you, and once you have hit that wall, like, fuck, it hurts like a motherfucker. And it's a lot of undoings that you have to do that you didn't even do. I don't have all the answers, but I have two things: wisdom and experience, and that I still hold true. Vow to love yourself through the hurt and pain. Self-love goes a long way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care how good he may treat you, how much he spends on you, and how good the sex might be. Vow to put yourself first, never neglect you, because at the end of the day, when everything is shattered and gone to pieces, all you have is the contents of you. All you have is that same person that's looking right back at you in the mirror, not anyone else. Preserve that and protect that. In the words of Rihanna, never a failure, always a lesson. And I hope you all learned one too. And that is the matrimony. Crazy time, wild time, 21. Like I said, I just thought I knew everything. I thought I just had everything up underneath the sun, underneath my fingertips, and that I had the skills at that time to just handle whatever situation was thrown at me, but still being blind to things that were right in front of me. And that's been a lot of us growing up in our adolescence, and you get into your early 20s. I know that my crowd is mostly late 20s, early 30s. I do have a population of listeners that are in the 40s and 50s club, but I can definitely say that this was a universal lesson for everyone to hear. Married folks, those that don't want to be married, rather, do what you got to do. There are just way too many stories about people, dating people, thinking that they have one person and this person is a whole complete different person. And on top of that, they made a commitment to someone. Telling that story to my girlfriends when it happened, I was very embarrassed, especially because at that point in time, dating him, it had been a long time since I had dated somebody, and it was fresh, it was new, and it gave me some kind of restoration that, okay, yeah, I finally got somebody. All right, he might be worth something. Okay, he's still around after month 1. Okay, bet. Month 2, he's still around. Hey, we still in business, y'all. Month 3, cha-ching. He ain't going nowhere. It's crazy. We often think that with our partners, we're just supposed to find out about those ugly things about them right then and there. True character comes out over a period of time, and I wish that that's something that I would have held true. I wish that I wasn't so naive, and I wish I wasn't just so gung-ho ready to rodeo because he was older. Take heed. I was 21, like I said, and that appeared on Tea, Bree, and Breathe, my college blog with 100% true stories of what happened to me. I would say that I didn't really miss too much in this story besides the red flags and the fact that I shouldn't have been messing with him anyway. But definitely when I tied into that blog, I can definitely agree with a lot of those points and conclusions that I did come up with 7 years prior. And there you have it, y'all. Whew. The matrimony. Let me go ahead and finish this drink, child. Ladies, y'all got to be careful. Men, y'all got to be careful too. There's a lot of ladies that hide the fact that they are married, or whatever reasons and circumstances that they got married. That definitely applies to both sexes. But like I said, this episode was definitely talking about how some men can be deceiving and just straight up disrespectful. In this case, Andrea was not the only one disrespected. Of course, I was, and just me disrespecting myself too by associating myself with this person after they had given me red flag after red flag after red flag. But you know what? I had to go through all that and all my experiences. That way I could be here today telling you the story, honey. Because one thing about Miss T, she got wisdom and she got experience. All right. I want to thank everybody for tapping in to this special episode of the Triple T Podcast. We did feature a blog, 100% true, of what happened to me in college, entitled The Matrimony. If you definitely want to check out that blog on your free time and tap in, because I may feature another story on an episode, maybe next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You can definitely tap into that link. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put in the description box when that Malibu in the description box below. I am going to put that link for you. But for those listening, the website is T, like you're sipping tea, TEA, Bree, BREE, so 2 E's, and breathe, BREATHE.wordpress.com. All right. Like I said, 100% experiences that have happened to your girl. I just had to document it at that time. A lot of people have asked me, including my cousin Tiara, shout out to T, when I was going to actually bring this blog back. I think I kind of did, just in a different way on this here podcast. I feel like blogs nowadays are just done on Instagram. But that might be something that I could get reloaded, especially if you guys want it. All right. So thank you again for tapping in to this episode, 4th episode of the Triple T Podcast. Make sure that you are following the show at the Triple T Podcast. Catch up and follow your girl on my personal blog at The Teflon Diva. And of course, it's a new year, new you. Do you want to introduce yoga and meditation to your life? Make sure you follow my yoga business page at Soul Flow Yo. If you are local in the Miami-Dade, Broward, and some parts of the Palm Beach area, holla at your girl. I definitely make house calls too. All right, y'all. Hopefully your bubbly or whatever you was drinking is done with. I hope that you have closed your mouths, because I know at some point I did leave it open. And make sure you do not forget the big takeaway from this episode. All right. Tell your homeboy and homegirl to tap in. I'll see y'all next Thursday. Peace.